Right. Clause 4.3. Determining the scope of the information security management system. Sounds boring, doesn't it? Sounds like the bit you skim past on the way to the interesting controls. Access management, encryption, all the toys. Here is the thing. Scope is where certificates quietly die. Not in the controls, not in the risk assessment, right here in one paragraph that most people write in about 15 minutes on a Thursday afternoon and never look at again. So let me tell you what the clause actually says, and then let me tell you about the games. Clause 4.3 says the organization shall determine the boundaries and applicability of the information security management system to establish its scope. Boundaries, applicability. Those are the two words that matter, and when you determine that scope, you have to consider three things. Point A, the external and internal issues from 4.1. Point B, the requirements of interested parties from 4.2, and point C, which is the one everybody skates over, the interfaces and dependencies between what your organization does itself and what other organizations do for you. Hold on to point C. We are coming back to it, and it is going to hurt. 4.1 and 4.2 are the inputs. Your context, your customers, your regulators, your investors, whoever has a stake and a demand. Scope is where those inputs get turned into a line on a map, and this scope shall be available as documented information. That is the standards phrasing. Write it down, keep it. And here is the bit that founders underestimate. The scope statement goes on your certificate. It is not an internal note. It is the public sentence that says what you actually got certified for, and anyone can read it. So what does a scope actually define? 4 things, roughly. Which parts of the business are in, which org units, which teams, which functions, which locations are in, which sites, which offices, which data centers, which networks, which information and assets are in, what types of data, what systems hold them, and which services are in, what you actually deliver to customers, and crucially, what is out. Right. Let us make this concrete, small software company. 30 people, sells a product to businesses, holds their customer data, runs the whole thing on a cloud platform, has a couple of contract developers offshore, and a head office in, let us say, Brighton, because obviously big customer comes along, enterprise procurement, and procurement says we need ISO 27001 before we sign. Panic, timeline, budget. And somebody in the room, somebody clever, has an idea. What if we just scope it small? What if we certify the head office, just the office, the corporate function? Maybe the information security team itself. Cute, because you can do that. You genuinely can. You can write a scope statement that covers the information security management function at the head office and nothing else. You will get audited against it. You may well pass, and you will hold a real valid certificate, and it will be worthless. Technically true, practically worthless, a very expensive prop, because your product is not in it, your customer data is not in it, your developers are not in it. Every messy bit, every bit that actually keeps you awake is sitting outside the boundary waving. And this is the comfortable lie. The lie is that a certificate is a certificate, that it is a badge, it is binary, you have it or you do not. That is what the framed logo on the website is meant to make you feel. It is not binary, it has a sentence attached to it. And here's the part that gets people. Auditors read that sentence. Serious customers read that sentence. Anybody doing real vendor due diligence reads that sentence line by line, and they are specifically looking for what is missing. They are looking for the product that is not named, the environment that is not mentioned, the word corporate doing an enormous amount of heavy lifting. You have not fooled the room, you have just told the room in writing exactly which bits you did not want inspected. Now, point C, the interfaces and dependencies, this is the trap, and it is the honest heart of the clause. You do not get to simply exclude something you depend on. If your entire product runs on a cloud provider, that cloud provider is not outside your world just because it is outside your company. If your code is written by an outsourced development team, those developers are not somebody else's problem just because they are somebody else's employees. The standard asks you to determine the interfaces and dependencies between what you do and what others do for you. Determine address, not ignore. Now that does not mean you certify your cloud provider. You cannot. That is not yours to certify, but you must define the interface. Where does your responsibility start and stop? What flows across that line? How is it controlled? Contracts, service level agreements, supplier controls, the shared responsibility model. A scope that pretends the dependency is not there is not just thin, it is incomplete and it is dishonest. But stay with me, because there is a mirror image failure and nobody warns you about it, overclaiming. 30-person company writes a scope statement, covering all global operations, all information, all systems, all subsidiaries, because it sounds impressive, and then you cannot actually control it, you cannot evidence it. You have committed to a boundary you have no visibility into. Too small is a prop, too big is a promise you cannot keep. Both fail. One fails at the sales meeting, the other fails at the audit. So how do you actually do this properly? Define your boundaries explicitly. Org units, sites, networks, services, information types, name them. Vagueness is not sophistication, it is hiding. Your inclusions and your exclusions, and justify the exclusions. Tie the justification back to 4.1 and 4.2. Why is this out? What issue or interested party requirement makes that defensible? If you cannot write the justification without wincing, it is not defensible. Map every interface and dependency and say how it is handled. Cloud provider, contract and shared responsibility, outsourced developers, supplier controls and access management, payment processor, same treatment. Every arrow that leaves your building gets a name and a control. Write the scope statement in plain, honest English. It goes on the certificate. Write it like somebody will read it out loud in a procurement meeting, because they will keep it as documented information. And review it when the business changes. New product, new region, new acquisition, new outsourcing arrangement. Scope is not a monument, it rots. So here is your dare, and I want you to actually do it. Go and find your scope statement. The real one, the one on the certificate, or the one in the draft. Read it line by line out loud and ask yourself 2 questions. If my biggest customer read this slowly, would they nod or would they laugh? And does this quietly exclude the exact thing that would hurt most if it leaked? If the answer to that second one is yes, you do not have an information security management system. You have a prop. Go and fix the boundary, then go and earn the certificate.